Hey, welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy that you are with us today. Tree Diaper, a device, Holly, helps water your plants. You don't have to hook up hoses or pipes or drag things across the yard. It's very easy to do. Tree Diaper can work on your vegetables, your trees, your shrubs, and everything in between.
Tree Diaper is a revolutionary watering system that slowly releases water around the base of your plant or tree as its soil dries. It's filled with water from rain or when you water, and slowly releases water over 3 weeks. No overwatering or underwatering with a Tree Diaper. Every time it rains, the Tree Diaper recharges. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. It works under mulch. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, Tree Diaper will improve the way you water your plants. Made in the USA, you can find all the sizes they have available at treediaper.com.
At treediaper.com. We thank them for being part of the program this year. Well, as we get into the fall, winter time, it causes one to ponder and think about what can they do in order to increase the finances coming into their bank account.
Do a lot of people ponder this?
I think anybody that wants to have extra money would ponder what can I sell? What can I do? Some people are very well off. Others are not so well off. And other people who continue to work towards making sure that they never are not well off. You always got to be thinking.
Absolutely.
And we're not trying to insult anybody who is in one of those categories. We're just a generalization there.
Right. So here's a few things we've come up with that you can do to make money off your land. And I think the most obvious for a lot of people is selling vegetables and or fruit, crops, etc. And then,
that can be done in your own backyard, or
right.
if you have, if you have a community garden, or in the UK an allotment, but there's certain parameters. I think you can't use it as a commercial site. You have to do all this other stuff. But yeah, you can plant a couple of extra plants of this and that, and we've seen this. That you drive down the road and it's like a self-serve stand.
You're right.
And, you can make, I don't know, $20, $30. People pay. It's amazing whenever people will see, a stand like that along the side of the road. They'll moan and groan and complain at the supermarket. Watermelon's $4. Ooh, that watermelon's $8. Let's get 2 of them.
It's true.
Yes.
But I think it's something about the
originality of where that comes. Yep.
Where it came from. Not like, the watermelon that you don't know where it came from necessarily. And I think another thing is that there's a convenience factor in a way.
A connection, I think, too.
Yeah, you don't have to. You are connecting with somebody who's selling this, who grew this, versus maybe not when you go to the grocery store. And then also when you're driving down the road, you might think, oh, well, if
I'm hungry for watermelon, I see a watermelon, I'm going to pay $8 for it.
Right. Or what have you,
yeah.
Cucumber.
But it's that connection.
Yeah.
That and people, and we went to a pick your own pumpkin farm, apple farm this past weekend. And somehow, you feel a little bit better by paying a little bit more at something like that than if you was at a big grocery store. You're paying more, but because it's local and it's grown safely and kind of more about it, it hurts a little less to pay a little bit more. Is that fair?
I would say it's fair. Yeah.
All right. So you can sell that pretty much anybody. Kids, adults.
I think the pumpkins were cheaper than a grocery store.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And other pumpkin farms. So that can be done pretty much anybody, anywhere, any age. Bees and honey. Now, there is some things that you have to follow, some licenses, some approvals, all of this stuff that not anybody can just go to the bee shop. I know that doesn't exist, and buy a hive and put it in their backyard and say, I'm making honey. There is certain, based on your municipality. Now, if you're in the country, do whatever you want.
You have to be a certain amount of feet away from neighbors, etc. And I'm sure there's some sort of insurance situation. So yeah, this is something that you would have to, if you have land, this is not necessarily a backyard thing. This is something that if you have a larger area of land, you could do.
Sell firewood. That is a hot commodity pretty much any time of the year. Winter for heat and summer for camping, based on the rules in your state on how far the wood has to be and can't travel and all this other stuff. And there's tools and investment and all that, but you can sell wood. It's not a big deal if you've got a lot of timber and it's safe timber and it doesn't have emerald ash borer or all these other invasive species killing them. So sell firewood. You can do that. rent to farm, garden plots, hunting.
Right. So if you have a portion of land and maybe there's a nearby farmer that wants to rent your land, that's an option. Otherwise, you could rent out little garden plots. You can
Turn it into a community garden.
Yeah, turn it into a community garden. And then hunters, if you have a situation where you have good hunting land and...
I've got a hunting story, by the way.
Okay, what's your... Oh, it's hunting story time. Okay.
So back home where I'm from, there is a very established hunting club about 5 miles down the road from where we're at. So, and these are people that when you see, and this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when you saw it on the Outdoor Channel or that's where these people were going to hunt. They would have escorted to the deer stand. They would know the certain deers would be in the area, and they would put them on camera and kill them, and then they would be butchered out. And by the time they roll out of the hunting club, it's all butchered up and wrapped up. So Dad's cousin is working a field, and this is during deer season, and these two people roll up and go, "Hey, sir, where is this hunting club at?" And he said, "Well, it's down the road about 6 miles." "Okay, thank you." And he said, "Mind if I ask you a question?" And these hunters said, "Yeah, sure. How much are you paying to hunt down there?" And they said $2,000 a piece. I think it was for the weekend. And he said, "You see those two guys over across the field with the blaze orange in the woods? Yeah, they're hunting for free." And they got in their truck and went on down to the hunting club, and that was the end of it.
Well, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So be reasonable if you charge people to hunt on your ground.
No kidding. Especially when their season is not very long.
Right.
Yeah. So that's an option. Allowing people to camp on your land.
Hip camp.
And this is something that I don't know if there's any other website, but this is something that you could also, if you don't want to do like hip camp, you could do word of mouth. If you know campers,
I'm sure like Facebook Marketplace, you can mock up something for that.
You probably could. Yeah. But hip camp, Joey and I like hip camping.
It's an exclusional deal. It's not like DNR, where you can throw a baseball and hit 7 campsites.
Right. We like that you can be kind of by yourself, secluded, and it's really peaceful. Right.
If you want to know more about that, you can go to our other YouTube channel, Time by the Tent, and we've got some documentation over there.
So this is an interesting one, is hosting a billboard. Obviously, you would have to be near a roadway. If you are off the road quite a bit and there's not high traffic, then a billboard probably would not be useful.
Well, I'm sure, what would be the process? That you would get a hold of an ad agency that's local and go, "Hey, I have property. I'm willing for you to put a billboard next to the road, blah, blah, blah." And what would that, what can we work out? Is that how that would normally work, I guess?
Yeah, I guess that's how it would work.
Because we see very old billboards down the road from the studio.
Yeah.
And they've been around, it looks like 30, 40 years. It's not the digital ones by the interstate.
No, they're the regular billboards. And yeah, and I'm assuming they have to have access to be able to change it, or unless it is a digital billboard, but then that would require some sort of electricity situation.
The whole deal.
Yeah, so that's something that, but it's an option.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what that pays, $20 a month or $200. I have no idea what that would pay, but it'd be probably over time worth the value.
Maybe we should get one out here.
Yeah, in front of the studio. Having chickens. Now, again, this is part of, does your HOA allow it? Does your municipality allow it? Does your township? You want to, with all of these things, wherever you live, you want to make sure you check can I do this before doing it, and then finding out you can't do that, and now you got a hefty fine to pay because you didn't figure out that you couldn't do that beforehand.
Right.
You want it,
It's no good.
As disappointing as it is that you can't have chickens, it sure is a lot cheaper than going, "I've got 7 chickens, I'm only supposed to have none, and now I got a X amount of fine because I got chickens in the backyard."
Yeah, that's absolutely not something you want to deal with. But with the chickens, you can sell the eggs, and I know that a lot of people really like that homegrown.
And the manure.
Yeah, and the manure. They like that homegrown egg situation. Usually you can get a dozen of eggs from somebody who has chickens for at least half the price of what you would pay at the organic food store. So there's that option as well. And a lot of people will put those on Marketplace. And if you got chickens and you want to sell your eggs, you can do that too.
Yeah, and you can also go through the bartering. I've got eggs and I need this. Let's do a trade type of thing. If you have a lot of land, or that type, if you have a lot of land, timber logging is a big everybody's looking for wood. And based on the type of trees, pine or ash or oak, it determines whom you would get a hold of. Now, back home, there was a sawmill that was local. It was 4 miles down the road. And they would come and look at the trees, and they would they would specifically cut certain trees that was of size, and then they would take it back and cut it to full length, true 2x4s, 2x8s, 2x6s, 4x4s, that type of thing. But it wasn't, here's a woods, mow it completely down, kill everything. They would strategically go in and remove specific trees that was of the size in which was mature, and then they allowed the other trees to grow up. So it wasn't just a mass, we're destroying the whole woods. So you can find people like that. You can find individuals that want to, just cut 2 or 3 logs down or trees down every year and log them out, or you can find bigger establishments that do heavy logging, which will do similar to what I just described. Go in and basically rip everything out and take the biggest of the best and leave the rest. So there are some options when it comes to making money off your land. If you're doing one of these, or you're doing something different that we didn't cover, you can let us know. GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com or 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-7469, and tell us about it so we can share it with everybody else. Holly, they may not want us to share it because it's their niche, and that's they're doing real good all by themselves.
Absolutely.
Well, it is getting winter's getting close, Holly. Fall's in full swing. Kids are in school. Nights are colder. Lawns, if you're anything like us, lawn's not in good shape, and we got to take care of that before the winter comes.
Yeah, it's fall, but we don't want to forget about our yards and the Japanese beetles either. They may be gone, but they're not far. Not only did they feast on your roses and berries this summer, they laid eggs in your turf so they can start again next year. You can take a stand with Phylum's Grub Gone. Grub Gone is a non-chemical BT granula that specifically targets scare pests and their larvae. Simply apply the granula with a spreader, irrigate into the soil, and let the naturally occurring bacteria do its job.
Not only is Grub Gone easy to use, but it's the only non-chemical choice that effectively controls grubs. And the best part about it, it's non-toxic to bees and other beneficial insects. So you don't have to worry about them picking that up and taking it back to their home, their hive, and their family and toxifying all of them. You can find Grub Gone at BeetleGone.com. That's go to BeetleGone.com to get your Grub Gone and use coupon code GardenTalk10 to save 10% off your order at BeetleGone.com for your Grub Gone. You can find all the coupon codes at our parent website underneath the Money tab at the top of the page, and that website is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.
For more information, please visit theWisconsinVegetableGardener.com.